Hi, welcome to some more updates with me, Mark Stokes. As usual, we're going to be talking about message center updates for Microsoft 365. In this roll-up video, we're going to talk about all of the SharePoint Online updates over the last 2 weeks. So let's go straight in and jump up. And the first one that we have was published on March the 10th. And this is Message Center 243944. An Immersive Reader is coming to SharePoint Pages and News Posts. So the Microsoft Immersive Reader, which is currently built into Word, OneNote, Outlook, Teams and other Microsoft apps, will soon be available for SharePoint Pages and News Posts. Rollout begins with targeted release for selected users and organizations in mid-March and ends with standard release in mid-June. So what is the Immersive Reader? So the Immersive Reader uses proven techniques to improve reading and writing for people regardless of their age or ability. This feature will be available on all modern pages and news posts except for home pages. And viewers of SharePoint pages and news posts will see a button on the page command bar to open Immersive Reader. And this initial receive, the Immersive Reader will only read content contained in text web parts. So essentially it's just going to go out and it's going to dictate or read out the contents of the page for you. So if you like to have it read out while you're paying attention to something else, or if you're hard at sight, then this is something that might be useful to you. Just bear in mind, if you are going to use this when you're building your SharePoint Online pages, to pay attention to where the content is, how it's structured, what order it's in, because like it says, it only is going to apply to content in text web parts, not the other web parts on the page. So just be aware of that. Quick short one there. Moving on, so next up is SharePoint Event Web. So the SharePoint Events web part will display event images. I think I may have spoken about this one previously. This was published on March the 10th, and this is MC243945. So basically what's going to happen is the events web part at the moment in the SharePoint Online page only shows the text about a particular event. However, if you add an image to your event, then the web part on, let's say, the home page is going to now present that image to you as well. So there's a nice little, if you go to the Message Center, there's a nice little image there that shows you what it's going to look like. Maybe flash up on the screen next to me here, but you can actually go and see what that is. So I think that would be nice and make it a little bit more visual again, the content you have on the page. And that will be coming through. When's that coming? So this is rolling out to targeted release in late March, and standard release should be completed around late June. So we should see this roll out over the next couple of months. Okay, again, as a very short one, and that's been communicated quite well over social media, so you may have already been aware of that. Next up, we have improved person columns in Microsoft Lists. This was published in March the 11th, and this is MC244060. So Microsoft are improving the behavior of person columns in lists by making the suggestions that appear when you type more relevant. So I believe the display of users is going to stay the same, but when you actually search for a person, it's going to be relevant. A bit like the people picker maybe you have in Exchange or something like that. So this will begin rolling out in mid-March 2021, so round about right now, and that should be completed by late April. So again, we should see this over the next couple of weeks coming out. And this will automatically be rolled out to all SharePoint sites, and users will just see this new capability. So basically, when you type in the people picker, the autofill suggestions will come from Microsoft Graph. And this makes the people picker more personalized and relevant based on who you work with most often. So I think that should be useful for most people. I find I like it when my suggestions come up and it is people I've kind of tagged previously or more recently, then I think that does help. So I think that's a good change. So coming up next, on March the 12th, Microsoft spoke about publishing an update around the SharePoint page analytics, and this is MC244306. And basically the new SharePoint page analytics feature will introduce analytics for SharePoint pages and news posts. You'll be able to see the number of viewers on all SharePoint pages, in addition to seeing information about how users interact with your page or news post. It's quite a good change. The SharePoint analytics has always been okay at best. It's giving you basic usage stats, but nothing very much more than that. So a lot of companies have had to rely on third-party organizations to provide more detailed analytics. So Microsoft's obviously investing a little bit more heavily in this area, and it's good to see that happen. So targeted release for the entire organisation will happen mid-March through mid-April, and their standard release will be early April through late April. So users in targeted release should be seeing these now, or soon, and then the rest of the business should see this going forward. So how will it affect your organisation? Well, users will now be able to see analytics for SharePoint pages, including page viewers, page views, and the average time spent per user. The Message Center item does have some examples of the graphs, so it's worth having a look there. So nothing really to do. It will be enabled by default. You might just want to go and notify users that this feature is coming out. So if you do have content owners in the organisation, they'll probably find this quite useful. Moving on to the next one, so this is Message Center 244318, and this is around Microsoft Information Governance, and this is an update to retention policies for SharePoint site collections. So Microsoft are updating the behavior of SharePoint sites which have been released from a retention policy. So today, as documented, there's a link in the Message Center item. Sites which are removed from a retention policy continue to retain data and prevent any deletion of the site for 30 days to prevent inadvertent data loss. However, going forward, when a site is removed from a policy or the policy is disabled or deleted, the site will be allowed to be deleted and moved to a recycle bin. However, all other behaviours for data preservation will remain the same, and all data preserved in the preservation hold library continue to stay there, and any files deleted will be continued to be preserved for the 30 days following this change. This will enable scenarios where the site no longer needs to be under policy and needs to be disposed of immediately. This change will begin rolling out in mid-April, and you can expect this to be completed by mid-May. So going forward, you'll be able to delete site collections which have just been released if you choose to do so, and you may want to update your compliance administrators and SharePoint administrators so they're aware that this change, as well as update any training materials, because obviously there's going to be a change in practice here, and sites may be deleted more rapidly than users are used to. So next up, we have a post from March the 16th. This is for SharePoint, Simplified Editing of User Interface Elements in Multilingual Communication Sites. And this is Message Center 244600. So in 2020, Microsoft rolled out the multilingual site communication feature, which allowed a site owner to enable multiple languages for a page and news publishing in a SharePoint communication site. With this update, a user with appropriate edit permissions can update selected multiple user interface elements in all the languages enabled in a multilingual communication site in the same editing session. MUI elements enable users to see and use SharePoint site interfaces in the language that they prefer, instead of the default language which was selected when the site was created. So targeted release customers rollout will begin late March 2021, so around about now, and then for standard release customers, the rollout should be completed by late May 2021. So the MUI elements that are supporting this update are the site name and description, the site and hub navigation elements, and the footer name and navigation. Okay, so again, there's some more information, some diagrams in the Message Center item, so if you are interested, then follow the link through to that. Nothing to do, that will automatically be enabled, maybe just to let your site owners know that this change is coming so they can prepare for it. So next up, SharePoint Classic Site Usage Reports will be moved to a new link. This was published on March the 16th and is Message Center MC244687. So Microsoft are relocating the Classic Usage and Popularity Reports in the SharePoint Admin Center Classic Site Collection settings. This is going to happen mid-April through late May, and this is going to be tenant level. So in mid-April, SharePoint site administrators will no longer be able to access popularity and search reports they're found in the Classic Site Collection, Site Settings, Site Collection Administration section. A mouthful. Instead, they're going to find the information on a new set of reports found in Site Collection Administration. In addition, daily reports currently display 14 days of data, and this is going to be increased to 31 days of data. Okay, so if you are looking at those current popularity and usage reports, just be aware that that is going to move to a new page. Nothing's going away. I assume it's being aligned with the modern analytics we've just spoken about. So the link is going to change and be updated. So next up, we have adding quick permissions to the OneDrive and SharePoint share control. This is published on March the 17th this year, 2021, and this is Message Center 244885. So this new feature will enable OneDrive and SharePoint share control user. Sorry, let's start again. This new feature will enable OneDrive and SharePoint share controller users to more easily change permissions when sharing links. Targeted release will begin rolling out in late March, and that should be completed by early April. And then for general availability, this will begin rolling out in early April and should be completed by mid-April. So this will impact any user who interacts with the OneDrive or SharePoint share control, and users will see the new Can Edit, Can View experience below. So again, if you go into the options for the Message Center, click through the link, then you'll be able to see an example of that. And that's all there is to it. So that just make it easier for users to manage who can edit and who can view when they add users in. And the last one in our SharePoint updates, this is focus mode for modern SharePoint pages. This was published on March the 18th, and this is MC244912. So Microsoft, again, they're excited to share this coming release. Will enable SharePoint page authors and viewers to focus on a greater amount of page content by hiding the site header, the site navigation, and the global navigation bar with one click. Targeted release will see this late March, so about now, and that will be completed in late April. And then general availability, this will roll out early May and will be completed by late May. So we've got a bit of time before this users see this change, plenty of time to go and explain to people. So your SharePoint page authors and viewers will now be able to clean their field of vision and focus on page content by clicking the Expand Content button on the command bar to hide the site header, site navigation, and global navigation bar. The larger content viewing pane and focus mode will continue as viewers navigate and select other links to pages within the same site. And the larger content viewing pane will not continue when viewers select links to pages outside of the site, even if they are within a hub site. So this is only going to be remembered within an individual site collection. Okay, so that's it. That's all of our updates for SharePoint over the last couple of weeks. A few things to note there. Very interested again in your comments as always, so please do leave me feedback. What do you like? What do you don't like? Do you like this new format of the video? The more you feedback to me, either Twitter @MarkStokes or in the comments below, the better I can make these videos going forward. I hope that's useful for you. That's a roundup of SharePoint Online, and I look forward to seeing you next time.